The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
It's right about time again to swerve again, confuse the general fans again. Add another swerve and then...
Oh shit! It's Vince Russo!
Vince McMahon's best kept secret.
I am the anti-Christ of professional wrestling!
David Arquette won the world title!
I've got a wife, 3 kids at home, and I really don't need this shit.
How can this show be so awful, Mr. McMahon? I didn't think it was.
Viagra on a pole match.
And Hogan, you big bald son of a bitch, kiss my ass!
Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. McMahon, the family, The Rock, they screwed us all.
Now you're the editor, right?
Mankind did it! Jumpy, beat me! Goldberg steered Russo on the table.
I'm from New York.
I'll get downright nasty.
This is Vince Russo's The Brand.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Brand. It is Vince Russo. I'm here for the Realm Network. My guest today, I've never had him on the show before. First time he's on. I've worked with him in the past. Overcame everything. Should be a symbol to us all, and not only in wrestling, across the gamut. Across the gamut. What an inspiration. And that's what we're going to talk about today with my friend. Hold on. I got to unmute his mic. Zach Gowen. Zach, how you doing today, my friend?
Hey, Vince. Thank you. And well said. Thanks so much.
Bro, I don't know if I'd be doing that because those guns are about the size of my guns, bro, and I'm about 20 years older than you, Zach. You know?
Hey, come on, Vince. I never thought I'd be on the Vince Russo show talking about Teen Mom in 2017, man. So this is pretty cool for me.
But Zach, listen, let's be honest, bro. You didn't make your living on your guns because you didn't have to, Zach. I think that's fair to say, right?
Absolutely. No, I'm certainly not the prototypical, stereotypical professional wrestler that you see every single Monday night, but I didn't let that stop me from becoming a wrestler that you see every Monday night.
Now, Zach, I gotta ask you this off the bat, bro, because Zach, I say this all the time, bro. I'm a stupid Italian from Long Island, New York, and I say things and I never think twice about them. I say things, bro. I say things, and then here comes the critics, and I'm a this, I'm a that, and I'm all these things because sometimes I don't think when I talk. So I want to ask you off the bat, bro. See, now we're going to talk about, obviously we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about your disability. Now, right away, when I say disability, I'm like, oh my God, is that wrong? Is it physically handicapped? What is the term politically correct I'm supposed to use?
I don't know, and that's a sign of the times, right? We have to go through life with 3 or 4 or 5 different filters because we don't want to be arrested by the PC police, so to speak, or the backlash on social media. But I'm not concerned with any of that because to me, my life, I'm disabled or I'm handicapped, whatever you want to say, but I am not my disability, right? My life isn't defined by what happens to me. I define my own life, and I empower myself by how I respond to what happens to me. So I don't care what you call it. The important part is how do I react when it happens.
All right, now, Zach, you're doing the cheap plug with the Pro Wrestling Tees T-shirt, which I'm a very big fan of. Ryan Barkin, Pro Wrestling Tees. Bro, I have conversations with people about the creativity of Pro Wrestling Tees. So do you want to give them a little verbal plug? I'm a big fan of Pro Wrestling Tees, Zach. Go ahead, bro.
I'm a fan, too, which is why I'm wearing the shirt. Pro Wrestling Tees /Zach Gowen for the official Zach Gowen shirts, if you feel so inclined. Much appreciated. I love it. I mean, it takes a lot to scroll through that whole website to pick out a size, a color, a design that you like, and to put your hard-earned money down in support of me, knowing that a huge portion of the money goes directly to the independent contractor. Man, it's really a vote with your dollar type of scenario, and that doesn't go above me. I completely understand that and appreciate that.
Zach, do you think you could take some of the money made from the T-shirts, from pro wrestling tees, and maybe jazz your office up a bit? You see, this is here, Zach. This is an office. What do you Zach? Do you need money for frames at least?
Well, yeah, I do. Absolutely, I do. All the money I make goes to feed hungry kids. I'm a big believer in causes and a big believer in charity. So all the money I make from the gimmick table, from the wrestling shows, from the speaking, from the DDP yoga goes to feed hungry kids. My hungry kids. So that's where it goes first. Right. And second of all, I have ADHD, right? So all of the clutter in your office and the frames and the posters and the trophies and all of that, and I can certainly appreciate it. But I find it very distracting and it gives me a headache. So in my life, I'm very, very simple and very scaled back and very quiet because my mind is loud so much of the time. So I need to kind of bring it in.
Now, is that pig? I see a little pig behind you. Is that supposed to be like a subtle shot at like Disco Inferno?
No, but it can be.
All right, I said let's agree that. All right, listen, for people out there living under rocks, even though, listen, there are a lot of people out there listening to the show that don't watch wrestling. I mean, I've gotten off wrestling a lot in the last 6 months, and we're talking about a lot of other things. For those of you who don't know Zach Gowen is known for being a one-legged wrestler. And at the age of 8, Zach Gowen lost one of his legs to cancer. Now, Zach, I want to talk about you, bro. This ain't going to be, well, in 2004 at TNA at the Clash of the Champion. I don't give a shit about that. I want to talk about Zach Gowen. There's so many questions I have. Bro, here's what I have to ask you first, Zach. And I'm sure you've been asked these a lot, but here's what I can't imagine. When are you diagnosed with cancer? At what age?
8 years old, I was diagnosed.
Zach, you don't mind me talking about this, do you?
No, I'm an open book. Talk about whatever you want.
Zach, you got to explain this to me. How do parents tell an 8-year-old child your leg is going to be amputated? And at 8 years old, Zach, can you even comprehend that? Can you even? I can't imagine being in the shoes of your parents and being in your shoes at 8 freaking years old. Can you kind of walk me through that process?
Of course, yeah. And this is what I talk about when I go to schools or I talk to different companies and different motivation or inspirational presentations. Now that I'm a father, I have a 4-year-old son and a 9-month-old son. I have such an admiration
and also, hold
and
on, Zach,
newfound.
let me stop right there because I have ADD too. So if I don't ask you the questions when you throw something out there, I forget them.
Me too.
That's why
I relate.
So let's just keep interrupting each other. Then I'll let you go on with your story. I know you got 2 kids, bro, but I'm also reading you got the children with your fiance. Right? Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Is there a problem with you not pulling the trigger here? Zach, you got a good woman, you got beautiful what's the problem, Zach?
I feel like I'm talking to her dad right now.
Do you not want to share all the money you're making with pro wrestling tees and everybody else with her? Is that the issue?
I mean, that's a lot of money to share. Once you see the checks I get the first of every month, man, you'd have second thoughts too.
What's the problem?
Here's the deal. Thank you I've never been asked this before, and I have opinions. So thank you so much for asking. I'm apathetic towards the idea of marriage. I don't care either way. You see, it's a generational thing, I think. Growing up, all of my friends' parents, my parents, 95% of the people that I've encountered growing up, their parents got divorced. So to me, divorce is the new normal, right? So if you want to get divorced and split up the family, the first step of doing that is getting married. I don't have a religious upbringing. I don't have a religious foundation in terms of that. So there's no religious component. There's one way or the other. It doesn't matter to me. We live together. We've been together for 9 years. We have 2 kids. She sees me at my lowest. Now she sees me at my best. We share a bank account. We live under the eyes of the eyes of Michigan, the legal law. We are married. I'm on her health insurance. So there's to me, it's just the idea of a ceremony. It costs a lot of money to do, and it requires a lot of planning, and it takes up a couple of days of my life, which I could see dedicated to something more productive. Now, if Kelly came to me right now and said, Zach, this is it. I want to get married. I want a white dress. I want a beautiful white. I'm like, oh, cool. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm just apathetic. I don't care either way.
Well, Zach, let me say, I've been married for 33 years. I'm absolutely miserable, but I just wanted to still say I've been married for 33 years. All right, let me get you back on your train of thought. You're telling me, before I interrupted you, when I go and on my speaking engagements, this is what I talk about. Go ahead, take it away.
Yeah. So going through this traumatic experience of cancer as an 8-year-old, that was my experience. But now as a father, I can look at that from a whole different perspective, from my mother's perspective, because I can't imagine what it would be like to see one of my kids get diagnosed with a disease that puts them on the brink of death. But in order to save their lives, they have to take a limb away. That's my worst nightmare. So my admiration and respect for my mom has grown immensely since becoming a father, and going through that. But as a kid, I just knew that I was very sick. I was in a lot of pain. And they didn't really offer me a choice. They said, listen, they told my mom, if you want to give Zach his best chance at seeing his 9th birthday, then we're going to have to amputate. So there wasn't much of a discussion going on. And I'm grateful in a way that it happened when I was 8, rather than, 28, 38, 48, because kids are so resilient and they can bounce back and adapt from so many different things. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was able to bounce back and become an athlete, and now I get to live a life beyond my wildest imagination, sharing my story, sharing my experiences. I have a very colorful past, but I've been given these tools to overcome the past, and now I can share it with other people in hopes of helping them.
But Zach, at 8 years old, do you really comprehend what that means? Like at that time, I mean, do you? I can't, bro. I just can't. I can't imagine for an adult, let alone an 8-year-old child. Were you comprehending what that meant?
No, I had no idea how close to death I was. I had no idea what it meant to be an amputee, to grow up without a leg, to not be able to run, to go through that emotional warfare as a child, which is why I'm so grateful for professional wrestling, because that was my saving grace. Getting lost in the magic of professional wrestling as a kid helped me get through a lot of those hard times. But I must say that it was more confusion, because all of the kids in the cancer ward at Children's Hospital of Michigan in Detroit, a lot of my friends and my roommates died, and I didn't comprehend that. I just didn't. It was confusing, and it was scary, and I felt very much out of control. And so it was definitely a challenging time.
Okay, so Zach, prior to losing your leg, you were a wrestling fan, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so after you lose your leg, you're still a wrestling fan. I mean, it's not going to change who you are. Okay? Bro, you got to walk me through this, and not only me, everybody listening to this show whose entire lives are gloom and doom, including me. Zach, give me the thought process of having one leg and actually somewhere in your mind believing I'm going to become a professional wrestler.
let me say, and this sounds very counterintuitive and it doesn't make much sense, but I never saw me having one leg as a hindrance to me doing anything. What I saw, and I love professional wrestling so much growing up, and I knew that I couldn't be a professional wrestler because of my size. Right? We talked about earlier. I'm not a very big guy.
I'm looking at you now, Zach, and I'm looking at those arms, and with all due respect, not much has changed. But go on with the story, please, Zach.
I'll take that the best way possible.
All right.
The thing is, I for me, a professional wrestler meant Hulk Hogan. It meant the Warlord. It meant somebody who was 6'5", 320 pounds, and jacked up. And so I saw that. And I never even, the thought of becoming a wrestler never even entered my mind because it was so far out there. But it wasn't until I saw the smaller guys like Rey Mysterio and the guys from Mexico and the Hardy Boys and Sabu and RVD and smaller guys do this incredible, put on these incredible performances full of athleticism and agility. And I thought to myself, well, I can do that. I'm more their size, and I can do all of the moves they do. I can backflip. I've been backflipping since I was 10 years old. I can do 450s. I can do all of that. And so once I saw the smaller guys in that more athletic style, that cruiserweight style, that's what gave me hope and like, oh, wait a second, I could be a professional wrestler. Now, I never thought I'd make it to WWE. I never thought I'd make a living. The goal was just the fantasy for me, right? Being 18 years old, a freshman at Eastern Michigan University, the fantasy for me was wrestling on the weekends, hopefully wrestling Sabu at an independent show. But then Monday, go back to my job of teaching high school math. Like that's the picture I painted for myself at 18 years old. It was always, this is a hobby, this is going to be fun, this is a passion, this is a dream, but never a career move. The career is teaching high school math. And so Zach, when my career took off, yeah.
Yeah, I would have to think, though, bro, I would have to think that those who loved you and those around you and those who cared about you, bro, I would have to think they tried to, in a very kind and polite way, they had to be trying to discourage you, bro. I would think from 2 point of views. Not only, man, Zach, let's face it, you have one leg. The odds of you achieving that are slim to none. But not only that, injury. I mean, the idea of you getting injured, magnifies 100 times over. So I would have to think, though, even though, you were like, yeah, I could do this. I believe I could do this. There had been those around you that were probably trying to talk you out of it, no? No, nobody. I had concern. I don't mean to shit on your point because that's very. It's a. You're not shitting on my point. They're just as nuts as you are. Then that's what I take out of this. So go ahead, Zach. Yeah, you might be right. My mom had concerns, and she still has concerns. Of course, about the well-being and safety of her kid. But in terms of people discouraging me or telling me I can't do it, that never really happened. And if they did, I didn't hear it because I had such tunnel vision. Because something happened the first day of wrestling school. When I walked into the wrestling school, even before the first day, and I put all of my money down and I wore pants so the trainer couldn't see the fact that I had one leg. And so I knew what I was doing, because if I walked in there with wearing shorts and I said I wanted to be a professional wrestler, there was a chance that the trainer would say, get out, tell me to kick me out of the gym. And I wasn't going to take that chance. So I walked in, I completely kayfabe my leg. I walked in with long pants. I had all of the money up front because if I knew I gave him all of the money for wrestling school, then he's probably not going to kick me out and give that back to me. And so I did that the week before my first day, right? And so I walk in my first day, still wearing pants, and the trainer says, all right, Zach, get in the ring. And this is the moment of truth, because when I wrestle, obviously I don't wear my leg. It just gets in the way. I move much better without my leg. So I pop my leg off. I look down, I put my knee pads on, my shorts,
in my wrestling shoe, and I look up, and it's like a scene in the movie, you know, when the record gets scratched off and everybody stops and stares at you. That's how I felt, and I'm like, all right, either I'm doing this or I'm not. So I rolled into the ring. I stepped up inside of a I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I stepped up inside of a professional wrestling ring for the first time, and something magical happened. I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be at that moment, and that was the first time that ever happened. So when that magic hooked me on that, there was no outside conversation, there was no chatter, it was just tunnel vision. This is what I'm doing, and I'm going to see where this takes me.
Zach, I don't know what's more nuts. I'll be honest with you. That or being a math teacher. Because, Zach, you know, quite frankly, like, math sucks, bro. Like, I'm more intrigued with how is this guy a math? Math is absolutely horrible, bro. Adding letters and all right, Zach, let's get back to the wrestling thing. Zach, this is interesting to me. I read, like, and you just said it briefly, that you didn't want to wrestle with the leg because I've read a little bit about you, like you felt it was dead weight. Can you kind of walk me through that? Like, how did it feel? Like, I'm assuming you felt inhibited wrestling with the leg, but why?
Because of the lack of residual limb on my left side. So I don't have much control over my prosthetic leg. Now, people who have an amputation closer to the knee or even below the knee, they can have close to total control of the leg. So that's why you see a guy like Chris Melendez, I believe, in TNA. The guy he wears the leg because he has a lower amputation. He has more control over it. Me, I'm much more comfortable, I'm much more agile, I'm much quicker, and I can do more without my leg on. So that's why I take it off.
But Chris, you wear, like, your daily routine when you're teaching, you wear the prosthetic all the time?
Well, the only thing I teach is DDP yoga. So I still haven't gotten my math degree and education degree.
Thank God for that. Good. Okay.
All the money from pro wrestling tees is keeping me afloat, man. So once that dries up, then I'll go back and get my degree.
I forget about, like, math. I'm talking about, Zach, you go to the grocery. Bro, I'm asking you this because you make it sound. Bro, why you keep flexing the guns?
Look at that. Are you kidding me? On one leg? Look at the size of that arm. That's DDP yoga, brother.
With all due respect, I don't know what one leg has to do with your guns. But anyways, Zach, can I do the questioning here?
Please.
I'll let you take your shirt off and pose at the end, and we'll put DDP yoga over. Zach, you almost make it sound like, to me, you don't need the prosthetic. So, like, that's why I'm curious. Like, when you go shopping, when you take your kid to the movies, do you wear it?
Yes. So I need it. I wear it when I need it, and I don't wear it when I don't need it. So different circumstances call for different things, right? So if I'm going grocery shopping, if I'm hauling the kids around, I wear my leg because that allows my hands to be free, right? Instead of being on crutches. It's not very comfortable. It's not something I prefer, but for the situation, that's what it calls for. When I shower, I take it off. When I go to sleep, I take it off. When I make sweet love to my wife, I take it off, So it just depends.
And obviously, you've had no problem doing that, as we can
No
say.
problem.
It's
it's unbelievable too, because of all the chemotherapy and stuff. They told me I was going to be infertile or what's it called, where I can't have kids. They're
shooting blanks. You're shooting blanks.
That's what they told me as an 8-9-year-old, due to all the poison they threw in my body to kind of rid me of the cancer. And so I don't either my wife has a different life going on, or they were wrong. Either way, I have two beautiful children, and I'm extremely blessed in that regard.
Now, Zach, I have to ask you, your first big break really came with TNA first. Is that correct?
It came with you. Do you remember that night?
Bro, refresh my memory. I'm very old, Zach. Refresh my memory. This is
incredible.
Make sure you put me over, though. Go ahead.
No. You definitely, I'm going to put you over. This it was unbelievable. So I probably had like 20 matches very early on in my career, probably 7 months into my career. I sent an email to Bill Behrens because I want to be on TNA because TNA had the X Division, right? They had Low Key and Amazing Red and the Flying Elvises and all these smaller guys that were the best smaller wrestlers in the country, in my opinion. And I wanted to be a part of that because I felt like I could showcase
AJ
myself.
was one of those guys back then.
AJ, oh God, yeah. AJ's been one of the best for a long time, and so it's nice to see his immense success now. And you saw that when, back then too. But so I sent an email to Bill Behrens and I said, hey, my name is Zach Gowen and I wrestle as Tenacious Z. I forgot if I mentioned I had one leg or not. I don't know if I did. I wasn't very smart back then. I didn't know how to market myself. But and I'm like, listen, I want a dark match. I want an opportunity to showcase what I can do. This is in January of 2003. He emails me back right away to his credit and he goes, listen, we're all booked up until May. So I can put you down for like May 16th or whatever it was. And he goes, in the meantime, send me a tape so we know what to look for. So I said, okay, cool. I put a tape together, overnighted it to Bill Behrens. The next day he calls me up and he goes, Zach, you didn't tell me you had one leg. This is unbelievable. He goes, can you make it down tomorrow for a dark match? And I said, fuck yeah, man.
This is Nashville now, right, bro?
Nashville, yeah. Okay. And I'm in Detroit, so I got to find a car. I got to find someone to drive. And he goes, bring someone to wrestle that knows who you are, that can really showcase, your talents. So I called Truth Martini.
And he's saying that because he's worried about you. He's worried about it. He's worried about how it will look. Even he's got some hesitation. That's why he's saying that.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to understand, before me, this was completely unknown, and it would never have happened. I came along at the right time. I was the right age. I had the right wrestling style, body type, whatever you want to say, for this to happen. So I bring down my trainer, Truth Martini, and we drive all night. We get to Nashville, and we're scheduled for a dark match. We are the last dark match before it goes live at 8:00. On pay-per-view. There are weekly pay-per-views. And so we get a nice amount of time, like 9 minutes total with entrances, which is a pretty good amount of time for a dark match, especially since we're just shoehorned. Usually there's 3 dark matches. They made 4 for us. And I think the one before us was Evan Bourne versus Jimmy Rave, which is really kind of, it's so funny to see people, where they start and where they end up and all this kind of stuff. But so we go out there. Scott Armstrong's our referee. And I walk out, and I'm wearing my prosthetic leg. I have my little singlet on. And before I get to the ring, I pop my leg off, and I put it under the ring, and I hop into the ring, and I pose for the hard cam, just like that, showing off the guns. I always have, I always will. But there was no reaction. There was just a stunned shock, silence over the crowd. Not even like a yay. It was like it felt like the air got sucked out of the room. Yeah, it was a really weird, eerie type thing because nobody has ever seen. Nobody knew I was going to be there. Nobody knew I had one leg when I came out. Nobody knew. It was nuts. And then Truth attacks me. Boom! And he starts beating me up. And then he goes to the crowd to get his his moment as a heel. And again, no reaction. They're like, oh my God, like what the fuck is happening right now? Why is this one-legged kid with zits getting beat up? And then all of a sudden there's a reversal, then I drop kick. Boom. And then when I landed and I came up, the place went, yeah, the roof came off. I've never gotten a reaction like it. I've been chasing that reaction ever since then. Yeah. And then an Asai moonsault, and the place is just loud, and it's real loud. And then so Scott Armstrong gets a call in his earpiece from Jerry Jarrett, and Jerry's saying, "Take it home. We got to end this because we can't follow this with the live pay-per-view. The crowd's too hot. Yeah. We have to bring them down before we get the live pay-per-view going." And so, 3 minutes in, we got to take it home. But we don't. Everybody's freaking out backstage, right? And so we want to get our shit in. So we do one more thing before we take it home, which is like a top rope reverse German, some bullshit. We finally take it home, and then I look up, and then the Harris boys are in the ring, and then Vince Russo's in the ring, and then Raven's in the ring, and like all of a sudden I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it was absolute chaos. They throw Truth Martini out of the ring. You guys were part of the heel group, Sports Entertainment Extreme, right? And then so like you guys didn't know what to do. The crowd didn't know what to do. Jerry didn't know what to do. Scott Armstrong didn't know what to do. So you guys gave me a shirt, an SEX shirt, and like I turned heel and joined your group.
Yeah.
Because nobody knew what to do. We just had to stop the match.
Yeah.
That was the important part, and then we'll figure it out from there on. Yeah. But we had to stop the match, and then all of a sudden I'm in the ring with the Harris boys and Vince Russo and Raven. And
I gotta tell you something, Zach, and I want you to know this, bro. And I hope you know this. I hope you know this, and I'm assuming you do. Bro, when I saw that and when you came to TNA, I swear to you, bro, I never at one time, not at one time said, oh, this is a great novelty act. I looked at you as this kid is effing incredible. And, bro, forget about the drop kick. Forget about what you did in the ring. The heart, bro, and the message, sending out to, not only everybody with a handicap, but, all the people who know I can't achieve this, or no, I can't follow my dream, or no, I'll never attain my goal. That's what it was. It was the inspiration, bro. The inspiration was absolutely incredible, bro. It had nothing to do with, oh yeah, this is the novelty act and people will pay money to see the bearded woman. Bullshit. It was holy shit. Just the heart, the inspiration. And Zach, here's what I want to ask you, because this is very, 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 very important to everybody listening to this show, Zach. Bro, I deal with depression every single day. I've been dealing with depression since I'm 22 years old. Zach, at 8 years old, you get that leg amputated. Now, Zach, you can go one way or another. You can live the rest of your life, poor, pitiful me. I only got one leg, letting people care for you hand over foot, gloom and doom, giving up on life. Or you can write this great, heartfelt, emotional, inspiring story. Now, Zach, let's face it. I guarantee you the vast majority would have went down the gloom and doom road, because that's the easy road. I'll have people take care of me. I'll play the sympathy card. Very few would have went the direction you went in. So I'm asking you this question because there's a lot of people in that boat, and I want you to explain to me how you chose to go down the road that you went down. Because, bro, 95% of the people would have totally given up.
Well, and thank you for saying that and all the kind words. And it kind of reiterates or reinforces the life I live now and what I do for work and in terms of my family and personal relationships. But I went down both roads. After WWE fired me, I spiraled down for 6 years, and I've seen depths and I've seen things that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, in terms of alcoholism, in terms of drug addiction, in terms of being locked in my own self-prison, in terms of self-pity, all that stuff. So I've seen both sides.
Let me stop you right there for a minute, because I have to ask you, like, why? Because at that point, bro, whether you were there for a match, whether you were there for a month, whether you were there for 10 years, if I would have thought, even if it was one match, you would have been like, holy shit, I did it. Like, I did it. I accomplished the greatest feat, the greatest goal I could have. I would have thought that one match would have been enough. So explain to me the mindset at that time.
Because I have terrible wiring. That's the only way I can explain it. And the beautiful thing about being a human being is that we have the ability to rewire ourselves along the way. Jaguars can't do that. Panda bears can't rewire themselves. If they're a defective panda bear when they're born, they're going to be a defective panda bear when they die. Human beings have the ability to rewire themselves. And so my thing is, I've always been, and I still am, consumed with, and I will be for the rest of my life. It's manageable now, but I'm consumed with how other people see me. Like, my self-worth and my self-esteem is wrapped up in whether you think that I'm a success,
I'm the same
that I'm
way,
happy
bro.
or not.
And I hate that. I don't know why. I'm the same way, but go ahead.
Right, exactly. And so when I was a WWE superstar, it was like, oh, okay, well, here's validation. Here's why I'm important. Here's why I mean something. To the outside world, I'm this, like, I should be lucky to be there. I'm an inspiration. I overcome a lot of odds. You know, my message is one of hope. But to me, it's like, okay, well, this is who I am now. I'm a WWE superstar. You know, let me buy a sports car with cash. Let me go to every single strip club. Let me go to the bars. Let me make friends with this person, that person, and get what I want. And so all of a sudden, at 20 years old, I have everything I've ever wanted and desired. Yet I didn't have peace of mind, and it didn't fix what was broken inside of me, right? So when you take that away from me, when you take away the dream job, when the fame goes away, when the money goes away, when the girls go, all I'm left with is myself, and that's just too painful to be left alone with, is me. And so I needed an escape from that. I need relief from me, and I found that in drugs and alcohol. And drugs and alcohol, the thing about booze and pills is they work really, really well. Which is why people use them all the time, and it's why I use them, and I was addicted. That became my life. That became my full-time job. Consequences be damned. You know, my life be damned. And it wasn't until I got to the point where I didn't care whether I lived or died, when I got to that point of just absolute bottom, that I was able to be open to some sort of help, you know. And what I come to understand is I have a spiritual malady, right? The problem is of spiritual nature, and so a spiritual malady needs a spiritual solution, and that's something I never had up until I was 26, 27 years old. But once I was in enough pain, I became open to the idea of a spiritual solution, and from that flowered the recovery process. And next month I'll have 7 years of continuous and complete sobriety, and yeah, thank you. And that to me, that's my biggest accomplishment, because that's action I do every single day to work towards that. And then the life I live now, the big checks from pro wrestling tees, to be able to, you know,
before you get ahead of yourself, because I don't want to forget this, Zach, and you bring up I don't just want to go over this.
Please.
When you talk about, you know, spiritual solution, bro, explain that to me. I'm very, very interested in that. Explain that to me.
There is nothing of a material in the material world that can solve my problem, that can relieve me of the bondage of self, meaning whatever is broken in me. There's not enough pills, there's not enough money, there's not a job status, there's not a car model, there's not a tax bracket that can relieve me of me. There's no human power that can relieve me of me. My girlfriend can't, my mom can't, my best friend can't. So my relief is not of, and I've searched the entire world far and wide to find relief for what's going on with me, and I haven't found it yet. But what I have found is my connection with God, my personal relationship with God, and the ability to ask for help and practice self-care, prayer, meditation, being of service to others, helping others. You know, I believe that God works through people, right? And so, you know, gaining and maintaining these relationships with other people, I'm able to kind of get guidance and direction that I never have. I didn't have a father growing up, right? So I don't know what it's like to take guidance. I don't know what it's like to take good, orderly direction, G-O-D. And so I get that from God. So my whole life is about kind of maintenance of that connection, of that spiritual connection with God, and everything I do revolves around that. Whether it's speaking to kids, helping out fellow alcoholics and addicts, going to children's hospitals, things like that. I do that to help other people, but also to help myself in my relationship with God.
Yeah, Zach, my story is very, very similar. I was raised Catholic, and I believed in God, but I drove the car. I drove the car. It wasn't until, I was about, 42 years old that I became saved. And very similar, Zach, what I used to do is I'm a very goal-orientated person. So I would set goal for myself thinking when I achieve that goal, I'm going to be happy.
Yes.
Bro, I achieved the goal, never happy. When I achieve the next goal, that's it. Bro, with every goal I achieved, money, success, you name it, there was no happiness. And I went down the exact path that you went down, and that's why I try to share that and preach that to people today. All of us were created for a purpose and a reason. There's something great about all of us, and I believe, bro, that is the secret of life. Why did God create Zach Gowen? What's his piece to this puzzle to make this perfect? And I believe our entire lives we're in search of that. So I very much, I hear you, and I completely understand. Zach, was it an instant, or was it a series of events that brought you to that point?
A series of events, because you can't reverse 26 years of living one way just like that, right? So it was an admission of the genesis of it all. The inception was me reaching out to another human being saying, this is what the issue is. I'm scared and I don't know what to do. And just doing that, just verbalizing that, brought so much relief, because I'd opened up the door to some sort of possibilities of solution, right? And that led to treatment. And thank God for WWE for paying for my treatment and with the wellness program they have. Without that, I don't know if I'm here. They paid for treatment. From there, it was moving into a sober house, right? A structured living with people who are other recovering addicts. Lived there for 6 months. From that point, it was moving into my own apartment with another guy from the house, a sober apartment now. Then it was, my girlfriend becoming pregnant. And then through, accumulation of different steps and activities and being of service and self-care, I gained new skills in terms of being able to overcome the fear of public speaking. So being able to put myself out there as a speaker, being able to take care of my body so I can become a better wrestler, reach out to DDP, start DDPO. All of this new stuff that it was always a good idea in the back of my mind, but I was too afraid to do it. All of a sudden, I wasn't as afraid to do it anymore. And so life just kind of grows and accumulates, and the responsibilities grow as you do it, So to me, it's a pretty amazing thing.
Hey, Zach, again, in an effort to help those listening to this, I want you to explain to me, Zach, I was very, very tight and very, very close with Joni Lauer.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, what are the differences? What is the difference for a guy like you who gets sober and the guy that doesn't? Like, what is it, and why? I know it's different cases for different people, but what was inside of a Zach Gowen to get sober compared to, unfortunately, a Joni Lauer who could not? What is that?
I can't answer that. I don't know. I do know that I'm here because of the grace of God, and it's an absolute gift. And sobriety is a gift, not something that I earned or something that I deserved, but something that was given to me. And I see that now, and I see that more than ever now. I didn't really understand that in the beginning, but now I definitely see that, because it wasn't my decision to hit that rock bottom. It wasn't. And so I don't know how to answer that. I do know that I'm more surprised when alcoholics and drug addicts don't drink than when they do drink or use drugs, because that is just how we are wired. We are wired completely different from a mechanical, a chemical standpoint. Our brains we react differently. The obsession and the compulsion to do that. I think I heard a study from Dr. Drew or something where it says it takes like 4 years and on average, three different institutionalized treatment periods to reach 1 year of sobriety. It's like one of so the odds are against us if we've crossed that line. And so that's why you see so many deaths, and that's why you see so many relapses and people struggling with sobriety. I can't tell you what's different for me, because I don't think that's for me to know, and I don't have any idea. But I do know that what I have is a gift, and I'm determined to not let that gift go to waste, right? Yeah. So my life, just from surviving cancer at 8 years old to the drug addiction to all this, like, I'm still here for a reason, and my purpose is to find that reason and help people along the way. And so that's really all I know about that.
Now, Zach, obviously helping people along the way and being a great inspiration to others. I know, now you're doing the DDP yoga. We're gonna, pro wrestling tees. Are you still? Where are you with the math degree? Is this something you're still going? Where are you with that? Because it sounds like you're doing many different things.
Yeah, no, I don't have time to go back to school. I don't have the money to go back to school. I can't. I have 2 kids. I do about 7 or 8 different jobs. I have commitments every single moment of every single day. It feels like life is very busy right now. And sometimes college isn't for everybody.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
But if there ever comes a time where it's like, where that's the direction my life is heading, where it's like, all right, well, now it's a good time to go back to school and get a math degree and all that, then I'll take that step. But right now it's not in the cards. All
right. So before I let you go, Zach, and I want to bring you on, we could talk for hours, bro. I'm definitely going to bring you on again. But before we go, okay, tell us all how we could support you, bro, whether it's through DDP Yoga, whether it's through Pro Wrestling Tees, your website, your Twitter. Tell everybody how they could promote you out there.
Yeah, thank you so much. If you want, it's all at Zach Gowen, all one word, ZachGowen.com. Fill out the contact page there, and it goes right to my phone. So if you want to book me for a show, want me to come to a school, speak to your kids, you want me to train you in DDP yoga if you're in the Detroit area, you want to come to one of my classes in the Detroit area, please let me know. It's for amputees, it's for regular body people. We can make it happen. celebvm.com/Zach Gowen if you want to ask me a question and bring a personal message to you. ProWrestlingTees.com, Zach Gowen. It's all there, man. It's 2017. It's everywhere, all the time. It's hard for me to even go through my Twitter because it's just plug. My timeline is just everyone's plug. It's like there's the same way. Yeah, there's so much shit out there. I'm just like, what? Yeah. Just bring me some information. But if you're interested, just go to the website. We'll make it happen. Whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, Zach, thank you so much for joining me today, bro. What an inspiration to others. And I hope, bro, I'd love to bring you back on the show. There's so much more we need to cover, but I don't want to keep you too long today. But man, Zach Gowen, thank you so much for joining me today, bro.
Thanks, Vince.
Look at the guns. All right, Zach Gowen, everybody. There you go.